It all started with a whisper, one that turned into a storm before anyone could stop it. For years, Mendeecees and Yandy had been held up as the power couple of reality television. Through prison sentences, public betrayals, and televised reconciliations, they were supposed to be unbreakable. But now, the dream has crumbled. The papers are signed. The love story is over. And what's left behind is a mess of accusations, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. Insiders are calling it one of the most explosive breakups in love and hip-hop history. The divorce between Mendeecees and Yandy isn't just about two people falling out of love, it's about loyalty, control, and years of quiet resentment boiling over. What fans thought was a strong marriage was apparently held together by cameras, contracts, and the pressure to look perfect. And now, as the final signatures dry, both sides are ready to talk, and neither is holding back. According to one insider close to the family, this wasn't sudden. It's been building for a long time. The love started dying the moment the cameras stopped rolling. That single sentence has sent shockwaves through the fanbase, sparking debates, theories, and emotional reactions across social media. Some say Yandy has been playing the role of a devoted wife for years, while secretly preparing for this moment. Others claim Mendeecees has been distancing himself ever since his release, trying to find peace outside of the chaos of reality fame. But the truth is, there even is one as darker than anyone imagined. Witnesses describe heated arguments behind closed doors, where words like betrayal, lies, and exposure were thrown around like weapons. Yandy was seen leaving their shared home in tears more than once, while Mendeecees was spotted dining out alone, looking tense and withdrawn. Friends say that their communication had turned cold and transactional, more about schedules and brand deals than love and family. Then came the final blow, a private confrontation that reportedly ended with Mendeecees walking out for good. He just said, "I'm done pretending," and left, said one person who claims to have been there that night. And that was it. The curtain fell on one of reality TV's most iconic partnerships. Fans are devastated, but not all are surprised. Many noticed the shift months ago: the forced smiles, the awkward silences during interviews, the missing rings. Some followers even claim Yandy had been dropping hints through cryptic social media posts, with captions like "Sometimes love has to let go to heal." Others believe Mendeecees' recent solo appearances were his way of saying goodbye without saying it out loud. Now, as both stars begin to carve out separate lives, the big question looms: what really went wrong? Was it fame, trust, or something even deeper, something that never made it to the screen? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: the fairy tale of Yandy and Mendeecees is officially over, and the secrets behind their split are about to change everything fans thought they knew about love, loyalty, and the price of reality fame. It started quietly, the kind of silence that fills a room when two people who once shared everything suddenly have nothing left to say. Yandy sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone, scrolling through old photos that looked like a different lifetime. Smiles that used to feel real now seemed staged, forced, filtered for the public eye. She had been holding on, hoping things would find their way back. But somewhere deep inside, she already knew the love had changed, and so had they. Mendeecees walked in, his face unreadable. He wasn't angry. Not anymore. The anger had burned out weeks ago, replaced by something colder. "You're still up?" he asked, his tone flat, as if they were strangers, sharing a hotel room instead of a home. She looked up at him, searching for a sign that maybe there was still a chance. "I couldn't sleep," she said softly. He didn't respond. He just took off his jacket, tossed it onto the chair, and sat across from her. The silence stretched between them. The ticking of the clock felt louder than their breathing. Finally, she broke it. "We can't keep living like this," she whispered. His eyes flickered with something: guilt, frustration, exhaustion. It was hard to tell. "What do you want me to say, Yandy?" "That I'm happy. Because I'm not. Not with this. Not with us." The words hit her like a slap. She had been expecting them, but hearing them out loud made her stomach twist. "So that's it? After everything we've been through, you just give up?" He sighed and looked away. "We've been pretending for too long. The show, the cameras, the fans, they all think we're perfect. But we stopped being real a long time ago." She felt tears burning her eyes but refused to let them fall. "You think I don't know that? I've been fighting for us while you've been fighting me." He stood up, pacing the floor. "You turned everything into a performance. Even our pain. You post about love and loyalty, but where's the loyalty when you're planning your next storyline?" She froze. "That's not fair, Mendeecees. I kept our family together when you were gone. I held it all down." "Yeah," he said quietly, "you did. but you also built a brand out of it, and somewhere along the way, I stopped recognizing the woman I married." Those words lingered long after he left the room. She sat there in the dark, staring at the door, wondering when love had become competition. The next morning, the world went on as usual. Social media buzzed with rumors, fan pages posted throwback clips of their wedding, and gossip accounts whispered that something was off between them. Neither of them said anything publicly. They both knew the game. Once the world smelled trouble, it wouldn't stop until it got blood. Mendeecees spent more time out of the house, meeting with friends, taking solo trips, staying quiet. Yandy kept busy with work, events, and public appearances. But behind every smile was a bruise, invisible yet heavy. She was tired of pretending. One evening, when the kids were asleep, she found herself scrolling again through years of memories, milestones, and comments from fans who still believed in black love goals. It made her ache. She typed a message to him, simple and raw. "We can fix this, if we both want to." She waited. The message was seen, but no reply came. Days turned into weeks. They passed each other in the house like ghosts. The air between them thickened with everything unsaid. Friends started noticing. Kimbella called her, her voice full of concern. "Girl, are you too good?" "People been talking." Yandy forced a laugh. People always talk. But she couldn't hide the truth. Not anymore. She wanted to scream that she was breaking, that the love story everyone envied had become a quiet war. Meanwhile, Mendeecees confided in an old friend, saying, "I don't even know what we're fighting for anymore. I feel like she's more in love with the idea of us than with me." His friend nodded slowly. "Maybe it's time you both stop performing and start living." Those words stuck with him. That night, he came home late again, and she was waiting. This time, not to argue but to face it. "We can't keep doing this," she said, her voice calm but trembling. He looked tired. "I know." "Then what are we going to do?" He hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. "Maybe we should just end it before we destroy what's left." She stared at him, searching for a trace of love in his eyes. "End it. After everything we've survived. We survived prison, fame, hate, all of that," he said quietly. "But we didn't survive each other." The words cut deep. She wanted to fight back, but instead, she nodded slowly. "If that's how you feel, then let's stop pretending." He looked down, unable to meet her gaze. "I'll call the lawyer in the morning." And just like that, the decision that would end their marriage was made in the same room where they once dreamed about forever. That night, she cried until her pillow was soaked. Outside, the city buzzed like nothing had changed, but inside their home, everything had. The next day, fans noticed something strange. Yandy deleted a few old posts, photos of anniversaries, long captions about love and commitment. Her followers began to speculate immediately. Comments flooded in. "What's happening with Yandy and Mendeecees? Are they okay? Don't tell me love is dead." Mendeecees, meanwhile, posted a photo of himself at the gym, captioned simply, "Peace is everything." It didn't take long for blogs to pick it up. Within hours, headlines spread like wildfire. "Trouble in paradise. Is the love and hip-hop couple done for good?" The rumors became reality faster than either of them expected. Producers called, friends texted, and the pressure grew unbearable. Yandy decided to stay quiet for now, but behind the scenes, she was unraveling. She wanted to hate him, to blame him, but part of her still loved him. A few nights later, she found one of his hoodies draped over a chair, the smell of his cologne still clinging to it. She held it close, whispering to herself, "How did we get here?" Downstairs, Mendeecees sat in the dark, scrolling through their old videos. He watched her laugh, the way she used to look at him before the world came between them. His chest tightened. He wanted to fix it, but pride stood tall between them like a wall. Neither of them said it out loud, but both knew the truth. They were no longer partners. They were co-stars in a story that had run out of love and out of time. When morning came, she walked downstairs to find him already gone. A note sat on the table. It wasn't long, just a few lines. "I'll talk to the lawyer today. Maybe one day we'll both find peace." Her hands trembled as she read it. She wanted to scream, to call him, to stop him, but she didn't. She folded the note and placed it in her drawer beside their wedding ring. The divorce had begun quietly, without cameras, without an audience. But once the news broke, it would shake everything, and it was only the beginning. Yandy woke up the next morning to a phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand. Her notifications were exploding: texts, calls, tags, mentions. It took her a moment to realize what was happening. Someone had leaked the story. A gossip blog had published an exclusive. Mendeecees and Yandy Smith-Harris headed for divorce after years of tension. The post had photos, unnamed sources, and enough detail to make it sound believable. Within minutes, it spread everywhere. She stared at the screen, frozen. It wasn't supposed to go public yet. Not like this. She hadn't even told her mother. She scrolled through the comments, some fans heartbroken, others cruel. I knew it. She deserves better. So much for black love goals. The words blurred together until she felt sick. Downstairs, her phone rang again. It was her manager, voice tight with panic. Yandy, we need to talk. The blogs are running wild, and the network's asking questions. We can't let this get out of control. She swallowed hard. It's already out of control. Meanwhile, across the city, Mendeecees sat in his car outside a recording studio, his phone lighting up with messages. He hadn't leaked it, but he wasn't surprised someone did. Secrets never stayed secret long in their world. He read one headline out loud, shaking his head. Inside the end of Yandy and Mendeecees, love lies, and loyalty lost. His friend in the passenger seat looked over. You gonna say something publicly? Nah, Mendeecees said quietly. Not yet. They'll twist whatever I say anyway. He leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Part of him wanted to protect her, to stop the madness before it consumed them both. But another part felt relief the truth was finally out, and he didn't have to pretend anymore. By noon, news outlets were calling it the most shocking breakup of the year. Every entertainment page was filled with throwback clips of the couple's most emotional moments, wedding vows, prison visits, family reunions. The same moments that once inspired millions were now being replayed as evidence of what went wrong. Later that afternoon, Yandy finally called him. Her voice was calm, but there was a sharp edge beneath it. Did you do this? He sighed. No, I didn't. Then who did? Because someone wanted to humiliate me. Maybe people just found out. We live in a fishbowl. Don't say it like that, she snapped. You know how this looks. They're calling me fake, saying I used our marriage for publicity. And you think they're not calling me worse? He shot back. You think I wanted the world to know my marriage failed? The silence that followed was thick and bitter. Finally, she said softly, we built this together. Now it's burning, and I don't even know who lit the match. Then she hung up. By evening, both their families had weighed in. Yandy's mother was furious. You two need to fix this before it ruins everything, she told her over the phone. This isn't just about you anymore. But it was already too late for damage control. The story had taken on a life of its own. Fan pages began posting timelines of their relationship, pointing out warning signs in old interviews. One viral tweet said, they looked happier in jail visits than they do now. The pressure built until even their kids started asking questions. Little Omer tugged at Yandy's sleeve that night and asked, Mommy, why are people saying you and Daddy don't love each other anymore? She forced a smile and hugged him tight, whispering, people talk too much. Baby, don't listen to them. After putting the kids to bed, she sat alone in the dark living room, scrolling again. She landed on an old video her surprising Mendeecees on his birthday. The way his face lit up when he saw her, it broke her heart. Hours later, Mendeecees posted a cryptic message on his Instagram story. Sometimes peace costs everything. Fans instantly flooded the comments. Was it about Yandy? Was it confirmation? Blogs reposted it within minutes, calling it a subtle confession. Yandy's phone started buzzing again, but this time she didn't answer. She went to the bathroom, stared at her reflection, and whispered, they're tearing us apart. The next day, the network called. Their producer sounded cautious but direct. Listen, this could get messy fast. We need to know if you're going to address it on camera. No, she said immediately. This isn't for TV. But deep down, she knew the show thrived on moments like this. And she also knew that no matter how private she wanted to be, the world would never let her story fade quietly. Meanwhile, Mendeecees met with a close friend, someone who had known him long before the fame. You love her? The friend asked. He hesitated. Yeah, but love ain't enough when everything around you is built on lies. The friend nodded. Then maybe walk away before the lies eat you alive. That night, he drove past their old neighborhood in Harlem. Every corner reminded him of their beginning, the place where they first met, where he promised her forever. He thought about calling her, about saying sorry, about undoing the pain. But pride kept his hands on the wheel and his phone in his pocket. Back at home, Yandy was sitting by the window, scrolling through messages from fans. Some begged her to fight for her marriage. Others told her to walk away. One message caught her eye. It read, you taught us strength. Don't let this destroy your peace. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she turned off her phone and whispered, maybe peace means letting go. The next morning, she arrived at the lawyer's office. Mendeecees was already there, dressed in black, eyes tired. They barely spoke. The lawyer explained the process simple. Clean, professional, signatures, property division, custody agreements. Yandy's hand trembled slightly as she held the pen. "So this is it," she said quietly. Mendeecees nodded. "Yeah, this is it." For a second, their eyes met. 1,000 memories flashed between them: love, laughter, pain, forgiveness. Then, without another word, she signed her name. He did the same. When it was done, they stood up. She expected him to say something, maybe goodbye, but instead, he simply said, "Take care of yourself." She nodded, voice breaking. "You too." As she walked out of the office, flashes of cameras greeted her. Somehow, the press had found out. Microphones were shoved toward her face, reporters shouting questions. "Yandy, is it true? Is the divorce final? What went wrong between you two? Was it because of another woman?" She kept walking, head high, refusing to answer. But inside, she was falling apart. By the time she got home, her phone was full of missed calls from producers, friends, and journalists. She ignored them all, sat down on the couch, and let the tears come. Upstairs, the kids laughed at something on TV, unaware that their parents' world had just collapsed. And as night fell over the city, Mendeecees sat alone in his car, scrolling through social media, watching the world dissect his marriage. He whispered to himself, they wanted a story. Now they got one. But the story wasn't over yet, because behind the headlines and heartbreak, one truth still lingered between them. Love might have ended, but the pain was just beginning. Yandy didn't leave the house for 3 days. Curtains drawn, phone silenced. She tried to disappear from the noise. Every time she opened her social media, her heart sank lower. Hashtags about her divorce were trending. Interviews she never gave were circulating. And people she once called friends were suddenly sources close to the couple. Her silence became a story of its own. Fans began saying she was hiding something. Others said she was broken. Both were true. On the 4th day, she finally stepped outside. The air felt heavy, like the city itself was watching her. Paparazzi were parked across the street. She pulled her hoodie up, trying not to be seen, but flashes followed anyway. One voice called out, "Yandy, any comment about Mendeecees' new post?" She froze. New post. Her heart started racing. She walked faster to her car and drove away. But the question echoed in her mind. When she reached a quiet spot near the river, she opened her phone. There it was. Mendeecees had posted a picture with the caption, "Healing looks good on me." And worse, he wasn't alone. Sitting next to him was a woman, unfamiliar face, bright smile. No tags, no explanation. But the internet didn't need one. No tags, no explanation. But the internet didn't need one. Comments exploded within minutes. So he already moved on. That was fast. Yandy deserves better. Her hands trembled as she scrolled. She didn't want to cry. Not anymore. But the tears came anyway. She whispered to herself, "He knows what he's doing. He wants me to see this." She tossed her phone onto the passenger seat and leaned back, staring at the water. Mendeecees, meanwhile, was sitting in a studio with the same woman, an event planner named Alicia. Someone he'd met through mutual friends. They weren't dating. Not really. She was just someone who made him laugh again. Someone who didn't look at him with disappointment. But when he saw the reaction online, guilt flickered in his chest. He hadn't meant to hurt you. Not like this. Still, he didn't delete the post. Pride, once again, spoke louder than love. By evening, the story had already been picked up by every gossip outlet. Mendeecees spotted with mystery woman days after divorce finalized. It spread like wildfire. Talk shows debated it. Fans argued in comment sections. Even old castmates started chiming in, some defending him, others calling him out. Kim Bella posted a cryptic tweet that read, "Some people heal by replacing, not reflecting." Within an hour, everyone knew who she was talking about. Yandy stayed quiet, but inside, anger was building. She'd been painted as the cold, business-minded wife who cared more about her brand than her marriage, while he got to play the misunderstood husband seeking peace. That night, she called her friend Juju. "I can't let them control my story anymore," she said firmly. "If they want the truth, I'll give it to them." "You sure about that?" Juju asked. "Once you speak, there's no going back." "I'm tired of being the villain in a story I lived," Yandy replied. "It's time they hear my side." The next morning, she posted a long message on Instagram. No shade, no drama, just raw honesty. "I loved hard, I fought hard, and I lost something real, but I refuse to lose myself in the process. Healing isn't about revenge. It's about peace. The post went viral within hours. Fans flooded her comments with support. Stay strong, queen. We're with you. You handled this with class. The internet started to shift in her favor. Mendeecees saw the post too. He read it twice, then set his phone down. For the first time since the separation, he felt something heavy in his chest. Regret, not just for the marriage, but for how everything had spiraled. A few days later, the two ended up at the same charity event in New York. It wasn't planned. They hadn't spoken since signing the papers, and now they were suddenly face to face under flashing lights. Cameras turned immediately. Reporters whispered. The air between them was thick with history. Yandy looked stunning, calm but distant. Mendeecees nodded politely, offering a small smile. You look good, he said quietly. Thanks, she replied, her tone polite but cool. You too. They stood there for a moment, unsure what to say next. Then she turned to walk away. He caught her arm gently. Yandy, wait. She looked at him, eyes steady. What is it? I didn't mean for things to go like this, he said softly. The post, the rumors, I just wanted space. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, she repeated, shaking her head. But you did. And you didn't just hurt me. You humiliated me. I'm sorry, he said. And for the first time, she believed he meant it. But it was too late. She smiled sadly and said, we can forgive each other, but that doesn't mean we can go back. Then she walked away, leaving him standing there as the cameras flashed. The next day, headlines screamed, Yandy and Mendeecees face off at Nick charity event. Tense reunion caught on camera. Clips of their brief exchange flooded the internet. Fans dissected every glance, every movement, claiming they saw unfinished love between them. And maybe they weren't wrong, because that night, after the event, both of them couldn't sleep. She kept replaying his words. He kept replaying her face. Around 2 a.m., Mendeecees sent her a message. I didn't mean to lose you like this. She read it, stared at the screen for a long time, then typed back. You didn't lose me. You let me go. No more messages followed, just silence. But the drama didn't end there. A week later, a photo surfaced, Mendeecees and Alicia leaving a lounge together. It wasn't scandalous, but it was enough. Gossip pages spun it into a full-blown romance. Mendeecees moves on officially. One headline read, Yandy didn't respond publicly, but behind closed doors, she was furious. Not because she wanted him back, but because the world was using her pain for entertainment. They think this is a game, she told Juju one night. They forget there are real people behind these stories. Juju nodded, then remind them who you are. And that's exactly what she did. Within days, Yandy sat down for an exclusive interview. She didn't bash him. She didn't cry. She spoke with grace. Marriage is hard, she said, especially when it's built in the public eye. Sometimes love doesn't die, it just changes form. And when it does, you have to be brave enough to let it go. The clip went viral. Fans praised her maturity. Even people who once doubted her called it the classiest response in reality TV history. Mendeecees saw it too. He couldn't help but feel proud and maybe a little ashamed. He knew she was stronger than anyone gave her credit for. And deep down, he knew he'd never find another woman like her. But by then, it was too late. They were both learning how to live in separate worlds, bound by memories but divided by choices. Still, every now and then, when the noise faded and the cameras stopped flashing, both of them would think back to that night, the night they said goodbye without saying it out loud. And in that quiet space, where pride couldn't reach and fame couldn't follow, love still whispered softly. We tried. By the time dawn began to stretch its pale light over Atlanta, Erica's phone had already been buzzing nonstop. Notifications poured in like a flood, group chats exploding, fans tagging her in clips, bloggers uploading edited versions of the confrontation. Each video had its own spin. Michelle finally ends Yandy's fake narrative. Erica Mena caught in the crossfire. Secrets exposed at ATL Lounge. The drama had escaped their control and taken on a life of its own. Inside her apartment, Erica sat cross-legged on her couch, scrolling through the chaos. Every clip showed her from a different angle, her voice trembling between anger and disbelief. She pressed her phone to her chest, exhaling. For once, she didn't know whether to post or stay silent. Her usual confidence, that fierce online energy that made her famous, was buried under the weight of too many half-truths. Across town, Mendeecees was wide awake too. The studio lights were off, but his mind kept replaying the moment Michelle looked him in the eye and said, "You let her fight alone." Those words had burned deeper than any insult, because they were true. He'd spent months watching Yandy handle things by herself. The rumors, the comments, the endless pressure of pretending their marriage was perfect. He told himself he was giving her space, But maybe he'd just been giving himself an excuse. Meanwhile, Yandy hadn't opened her phone since the night before. She stood in the kitchen, coffee untouched, staring out the window. The city outside felt louder somehow, like every car horn and voice was tuned to the same frequency as her thoughts. She wasn't angry at K. Michelle. Not anymore. What hurt was that everyone else had seen it too. That moment of silence when she had no defense left. The producers of Love and Hip Hop were already in panic mode. Meetings were being called, contracts reviewed, NDAs dusted off. The show's reputation was built on drama, but this was too real, too personal. One executive even suggested pulling the footage before it aired. But another quickly reminded them that the leak had already happened. It was out, unstoppable. At noon, K. Michelle posted a cryptic message. Truth doesn't need permission to exist. The comments exploded within seconds. Some praised her courage, others accused her of betrayal, but buried deep among the thousands of replies was one that caught everyone's attention. A single message from an account that looked suspiciously like Erica's It said, "Finally someone said it." Screenshots spread instantly. Within hours, Erica was trending again. Talk shows picked up the story. Reaction channels began dissecting every frame, every gesture, every breath from began dissecting every frame, every gesture, every breath from the lounge incident. Even those who'd never watched Love and Hip Hop suddenly had an opinion. That evening, Yandy finally broke her silence. She went live. No makeup, no filter, just her and the quiet hum of her apartment. "I'm tired of pretending," she began. Her voice was low, steady. "People think this show is all scripted. But my pain wasn't. My loyalty wasn't. And I don't regret loving anyone, not even the ones who hurt me." Tens of thousands joined the stream. Hearts floated across the screen like fireflies. In the comments, even K. Michelle's fans paused their debates. There was something raw and unguarded in Yandy's tone. Something that reminded people of the woman she was before fame, strong, protective, and endlessly forgiving. When she ended the live, the internet erupted again, this time with respect. Hashtags shifted from mockery to support. Hashtag West End with the Indie began trending worldwide. But behind the camera, things were far from over. K. Michelle had received a private message that changed everything. It wasn't from Erica, or Yandy, or even a fan. It was from someone who claimed to have the unedited footage of the night, the part no one had seen yet. The message landed in K. Michelle's inbox with no warning, no name, no subject line, just a single file labeled "The Real Tape." She stared at it for a long moment, torn between curiosity and dread. Then she pressed play. The video began with the same familiar chaos, the shouting, the security stepping in, Yandy trying to walk away. But then the angle shifted. Someone had been filming from behind the lounge curtain. The audio was muffled, yet clear enough to catch what most had missed. Before K. Michelle's confrontation began, a producer's voice could be heard whispering, "Push it, K, don't hold back. We need this moment." Her stomach turned. It wasn't scripted, not fully, but it had been steered, manipulated. The emotion had been real, but the setup was deliberate. They had wanted tension, they had fed it. She paused the clip, closed her eyes, and leaned back. For years, K. Michelle had prided herself on being authentic, saying what others wouldn't, standing in her truth. But seeing that footage made her question everything. How many of their fights, heartbreaks, and public humiliations had been quietly engineered behind the scenes? By evening, the file had already reached Erica. She called K. Michelle immediately, her voice low and cautious. "You saw it." "I saw it," K. said. "They used us. They always do," Erica replied. "But this time, we're not letting them win." Within hours, the three women, K. Michelle, Erica Mena, and Yandy Smith, were on a private call for the first time in months. No cameras, no producers, no background noise. Just three women with too much history and not enough peace. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Yandy broke the silence. "We gave them everything. Our families, our fights, our real lives. And for what? To be turned into me." K. Michelle exhaled. "I said things I can't take back. But I'm done being a storyline." Erica's voice softened. "Then let's end it the right way." The next morning, the world woke up to something no one expected, a joint post from all three women. A simple black screen with white text that read, "We may not agree on everything, but we agree on this. We're taking our power back. No more manipulation. No more control. The truth belongs to us." The caption beneath it read only, "The Real Tape, #sisterhood over scripts." The post shattered records within minutes. Fans flooded the comments, stunned by the unity that no one saw coming. Media outlets scrambled to rewrite their stories. Even cast members who had stayed silent began reposting it. adding their own experiences of being pushed into conflict for views. That evening, Love and Hip Hop's production team released a statement promising a full internal review, but it was too late. The damage was done. The curtain had been pulled back, and the audience had seen too much. Yandy, K, Michelle, and Erica didn't return for the next season. Instead, they announced something entirely new, a podcast called Unfiltered Hearts. It was raw, real, and completely theirs. No edits, no manipulation, no scripts. Just three women talking about what it costs to survive fame with your soul intact. In their first episode, Yandy said quietly, "People think drama made us famous, but truth is what set us free." K. Michelle smiled faintly, and this time, nobody's pulling the strings. The comments beneath the premiere were filled with one phrase repeated thousands of times. Finally, the real story. And just like that, the show that had once defined them became the reason they outgrew it. The scandal that was meant to destroy them ended up rebuilding something far more powerful: their voice, their unity, and the truth they had fought so long to tell. The screen faded to black. The sound of soft laughter filled the outro, and for the first time in years, it didn't feel scripted at all. In the weeks that followed, the storm only grew louder. Every entertainment outlet across the country tried to make sense of what had just happened. How could the queens of reality TV, the same women who built the show's empire on raw emotion and chaos, walk away at their peak? Rumors flooded every social feed. Some claimed they were forming a new production company. Others said a major network had offered them their own show, one that would expose the truth behind reality television itself. But while the world speculated, Yandy, K, Michelle, and Erica stayed silent, working behind the scenes to build something bigger than anyone expected. In a downtown Atlanta loft, their new project began to take shape. The room was filled with storyboards, candles burning low, and laptops open to pages of unfiltered confessions. Not scripts, but truth. They were crafting a docuseries called Behind the Edits. Every episode would show what cameras missed: the emotional manipulation, the long hours, the personal breakdowns no one ever aired. They wanted to give people the uncut reality of their so-called reality. "You think they'll let this air?" Erica asked one night, her tone half serious, half amused. Yandy looked up from her notes. "They can't stop us. We're not signed to them anymore." "Yeah," K. Michelle added, sipping her drink, "and even if they try, the internet's ours now. Nobody owns the truth." That became their slogan. Nobody owns the truth. When word leaked about the new project, fans erupted. Some cheered, calling it the revolution of reality TV. Others doubted they could pull it off without network backing. But it didn't matter. Within a month, they had investors, a group of independent Black producers who'd also been burned by major studios. They understood the vision immediately. Still, the old network didn't stay quiet. Legal teams sent warnings, threatening lawsuits if any footage or confidential material appeared in the docuseries. The women laughed it off at first, but when letters started showing up at their homes, the tension grew. One night, K. Michelle called Yandy after midnight. "Girl, you get one too." "Yeah," Yandy said, flipping through the papers on her counter. "They really think they can scare us." "They scared of the truth," Kay said. "They know what's coming." The threats only made them more determined. Erica suggested they film an episode addressing it head-on, showing the audience exactly what was happening in real time. "Let them see how far they'll go to keep us quiet," she said. So they did. Cameras rolled as they read each cease and desist letter aloud, their voices steady but defiant. They blurred nothing, censored nothing. "If this footage disappears," Yandy said on camera, "you'll know who did it." The clip leaked online within hours. It was raw, shaky, filmed on a phone, but it went viral overnight. Fans called it the most honest thing they've ever done. Hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag stand with Yandy. Hashtag let KS peak. Stand with Yandy. Hashtag let KS peak. Hashtag unmute. Within a week, the network backed down, realizing public backlash would cost them far more than silence. With the legal battle behind them, filming continued. The women invited former castmates to share their experiences. Not all agreed, but enough did to fill entire episodes. One after another, people came forward, revealing how producers had manipulated storylines, edited scenes out of context, and turned real pain into entertainment. During one emotional taping, a former crew member broke down in tears. "We used to sit in the control room and say, 'This is too much,' but the producers would tell us to keep rolling. They said heartbreak gets ratings." The room fell silent. For the first time, everyone truly understood what they were exposing. By the time Behind the Edits premiered on YouTube, anticipation was sky high. The first episode hit 1 million views in 24 hours. Comments poured in, some from longtime fans, Others from people who'd never watched reality TV before but wanted to see what was being revealed. "This is bigger than a show." One comment read, "This is justice." In the third episode, Yandy opened up about the toll fame had taken on her marriage. For years, people had accused her of using her relationship as a storyline. Now she was finally ready to speak her truth. "We let cameras into our home because we thought it would build our brand," she said softly, "but we didn't realize how much it would tear down our peace. The world saw our arguments, but they never saw the nights we stayed up trying to fix what those arguments broke." Her voice cracked as she continued, "I loved him, but somewhere along the way, we stopped being a couple and started being characters. When you start living for the camera, you stop living for each other." It was one of the most replayed moments of the season. Fans filled the comments with heartbreak and support. "This is what healing looks like," one wrote. Another said, "She's finally free." Behind the scenes, though, things weren't entirely peaceful. Fame, even redefined, still carried pressure. The women faced backlash from former producers and jealous colleagues. One anonymous source began leaking private texts between them, hoping to stir division. For a few tense days, it worked. Erica and K. Michelle stopped responding to each other's messages. Social media speculated about a falling out. The blogs ran headlines like "The sisterhood cracks again," but Yandy refused to let it unravel. She called a meeting at her house and told them both to show up. No cameras, no assistants, no phones. When they arrived, she poured 3 glasses of wine, sat down, and said, "Whatever they're trying to do, it stops tonight." Erica sighed, "I just hate that people still want us to fight." "That's all they ever wanted," Kay said, shaking her head. "But we're not giving them that anymore." Then Yandy said something that silenced them both. "We've all been through hell, love, loss, public shame, but if we start turning on each other now, they win. And I'm done letting other people write my ending." After that night, they never looked back. Their bond grew stronger, their message clearer. They weren't just exposing a show, they were exposing a system. As the final episode of Behind the Edits aired, fans noticed something powerful in the closing scene, a black screen with the words, "For every woman who was told her pain was content." It wasn't just a show anymore, it was a statement. But the story didn't stop there. Networks began calling again, this time offering complete creative control, promising transparency, swearing things would be different. One even suggested a live reunion special to celebrate their courage. Yandy smiled when she read the proposal and slid it across the table toward her friends. "What do y'all think?" Erica didn't even look at it. "Nah, we already told our story. They can't buy it back." K. Michelle nodded. "We're not going back to TV. We are the network now." And she was right. Months later, they launched their own production label, Truth House Media. Its mission was simple: to give artists, influencers, and women from all walks of life the platform to tell their stories without filters or edits. Their first signed creator was a single mother from Baltimore who'd gone viral for a tearful TikTok about losing her job. Under their guidance, her story became a mini-doc, viewed over 10 million times. Slowly, the same world that once cheered their downfall began celebrating their rise. The tabloids that mocked them now ran think pieces about media ethics. The very machine that had once used them for profit was now quoting them as examples of strength. And through it all, they never stopped reminding people of the lesson that started it all. Nobody owns the truth. When the anniversary of their original fallout came around, they returned to that same lounge, not for drama, but for closure. The lights were dim, the music low, and the same bartender from that infamous night poured their drinks. "Never thought I'd see y'all here again," he said with a grin. "Neither did we," Yandy replied. They toasted to everything they'd survived: the lies, the fights, the manipulation, the heartbreak. "To the chaos that made us real," Erica said, raising her glass. K. Michelle smirked. "And to the peace that finally followed." As they laughed and clinked glasses, someone from across the room recognized them and pulled out a phone to record. This time, they didn't flinch. They just smiled, waved, and kept talking. Because for the first time in a long time, being seen didn't mean being exposed. It meant being known. The clip hit social media later that night with the caption, "No drama, just growth." And maybe that was the biggest twist of all. 3 women who built their names on chaos had found power and calm. It didn't end in a fight. It ended in freedom. Weeks after that quiet reunion at the lounge, their lives began to shift again. But this time in ways that didn't involve cameras, gossip, or drama. Yandy started volunteering full-time with her community foundation, helping young women launch small businesses. K. Michelle returned to the studio, writing music that reflected her journey, not the heartbreaks people remembered, but the resilience they never saw. Erica began working on a memoir, though she swore she wasn't ready to publish it yet. Their podcast, Unfiltered Hearts, continued to grow. By the third month, it was topping charts across multiple platforms. Not because of controversy, but because people were listening, really listening to their honesty. They spoke about love without pretending it was easy, about motherhood without filters, and about pain without shame, and their listeners responded in thousands of comments, letters, and videos, thanking them for being real when everyone else was pretending. One episode in particular struck a chord. It was titled When the Camera Turns Off. In it, Yandy shared a story she had never told publicly about the first night she spent alone after the divorce papers were finalized. She described sitting in her living room, surrounded by silence that felt heavier than grief. "I kept waiting for someone to call, for the next scene to start, for the chaos to return," she said softly, but nothing happened. "And that's when I realized peace is loud when you're not used to it." Listeners flooded the comments with messages like, "That line saved me, and this is what healing sounds like." Even the network that once tried to silence them couldn't ignore the impact. Executives began reaching out, this time with apologies instead of contracts. But the women didn't answer. They didn't need validation anymore. Their voices had already found a new home, and their audience followed them there. Yet fame has a way of testing peace. One morning, K. Michelle woke up to find her name trending again, not for music, not for the podcast, but because a fake account claiming to be her had started posting old behind-the-scenes clips from Love and Hip Hop. The posts were heavily edited, making it look like she was talking badly about Yandy and Erica. Within hours, the blogs ran with the story. K. Michelle, back at it again, they wrote, igniting another wave of speculation. She texted the group chat, "Check Twitter. They're trying to start something." Erica replied almost instantly, "Don't say a word. Let them drown in their own noise." But Yandy had another idea. "No," she wrote, "we address it, live together." That evening, they went live on Instagram, all three faces framed on the same screen, calm and composed. K. Michelle began, "For anyone confused, that's not me posting. I don't hide behind fake pages." Yandy nodded. "We've moved past the era where women are pitted against each other for clicks. If you came here against each other for clicks. If you came here for a fight, you'll be disappointed." Erica leaned forward. "If you came here for growth, pull up a seat." Within minutes, the live stream crossed 500,000 viewers. What was meant to be a smear campaign turned into a global reminder of their unity. Fans flooded the chat with heart emojis and messages of support. The same headlines that once thrived on division now read, "The women who changed the narrative again." A week later, their manager called with an unexpected proposal. A major streaming platform wanted to buy behind the edits, not to exploit it, but to expand it into a global docuseries about the truth behind reality entertainment worldwide. They offered complete creative control and an executive producer credit for all three women. At first, they hesitated. It felt risky returning to the same industry that once broke them. But after several meetings and a written guarantee that no footage would be altered without their approval, they agreed. Filming began in New York, then Atlanta, then Los Angeles. Each city revealed new stories, influencers, models, and former reality stars coming forward with experiences eerily similar to theirs. One tearful interviewee from London said, "They told me to cry harder because the first take wasn't emotional enough. I was talking about my real breakup." K. Michelle placed a comforting hand on her shoulder and said, "They can edit the footage, but they can't edit your truth." When the new version of Behind the Edits premiered, it was no longer just about one show, it had become a movement. News outlets from CNN to The Shade Room covered it. Universities even invited them to speak about media ethics and authenticity. And for the first time in their careers, they weren't just reality stars, they were respected voices. The three women sat together in a quiet hotel suite the night the series launched globally. The room was dim, city lights glowing through the window. Erica stared at the skyline and said, "You realize this started with a fight in a lounge." Yandy smiled faintly. "And now it's a lesson for the whole world." K. Michelle laughed softly. "Life got jokes, huh?" "Yeah," Yandy said. "But for once, we're in on them." They raised their glasses, not to fame, not to redemption, but to survival. Outside, the streets buzzed with noise, but inside, there was only calm. Later that week, Yandy posted a single photo on Instagram, the three of them sitting together on that hotel balcony. The city behind them, peace written all over their faces. The caption read, "We were never just a storyline." The post broke the internet again, but this time for all the right reasons. Still, there was one more twist to come. Months later, during a panel discussion, a young journalist asked Yandy, "If you could go back to that first season, knowing everything you know now, would you still do it?" She paused, thoughtful, then she said, "Yes, but only because the pain taught us purpose. Without that chaos, we'd never know what peace feels like." The audience erupted in applause. The journalist smiled. "And what do you call that purpose now?" Yandy looked at her friends, then back at the crowd. "We call it ownership." And that was the final word. No screaming, no scandal, no staged tears, just quiet power from three women who rewrote the rules of the game they once played in. Their story stopped being about what they lost and became a blueprint for every woman who ever gave too much of herself to a world that only wanted her pain. In the end, they didn't just walk away from the cameras. They took the spotlight with them, and for once, it finally belonged to them. Months passed, and the impact of their story continued to ripple across the industry. What began as a scandal had turned into a full-blown reckoning. Production houses started revising contracts. Reality show participants demanded mental health clauses and fair editing rights. Magazines that once printed gossip about the trio were now running features on their advocacy for creative autonomy. Even networks in Europe and Asia began contacting Truth House Media to collaborate on ethical content. Behind the spotlight though, life for Yandy, Erica, and Kay. Michelle had settled into something beautifully ordinary. Mornings were quiet again. They weren't waking up to producers knocking or paparazzi waiting outside. They were mothers, artists, and women finally allowed to live beyond their headlines. Yandy had moved into a new home on the outskirts of Atlanta, a sprawling but simple house surrounded by trees. Her days started early, with meditation, coffee, and long walks before meetings. She was still busy, but it was a different kind of busy. She worked for herself now, not for ratings. Her community foundation, Women Build Forward, had grown beyond her imagination, offering mentorship and funding to single mothers starting small businesses. One afternoon, she was on a video call with a group of young entrepreneurs when one girl, barely 19, said, "Miss Yandy, you changed how I see myself. I thought my story was something to hide, but you made me realize it's my power." Yandy smiled, her eyes soft. "That's all I ever wanted to teach," she said. Meanwhile, Kay Michelle was deep in the studio, pouring her truth into new music. Her songs had changed, fewer heartbreak ballads, more soul. One track, titled Unwritten Edits, became an anthem for anyone who had ever felt exploited by fame. The chorus said, "They cut my truth to fit their view, but my story belongs to me, not you." It climbed charts across streaming platforms, reminding everyone that her voice was not a product of reality TV. It was her power long before that. Erica, on the other hand, found her peace in writing. Her memoir, Love, Hate, and the Edit Room Floor, was finally ready. She wrote it not as a revenge piece, but as a reflection, a raw, honest look at what it meant to lose yourself to cameras and find yourself again in silence. In one chapter, she wrote, "They told me to be louder, crazier, more broken, but healing doesn't sell until you make it your own story." When the book released, it became a bestseller in a week. Interviews poured in, but she didn't chase them. She only agreed to appear on one show, the trio's own podcast. The night before recording that episode, all three women sat around a dinner table at Yandy's house. Candles flickered, laughter filled the air, and for a moment, it felt like the old days, only softer, wiser. "You know," Erica said, pouring wine, "if someone told me 5 years ago we'd be sitting here at peace, I would have laughed in their face." "Same, Kay," Michelle said, smiling. "Back then, peace felt like a myth. We earned it," Yandy replied quietly. "Every scar, every headline, it led here." The next morning, they recorded what became their most emotional podcast episode yet. It was called The Day We Took Our Names Back. There were no scripts, no rehearsed lines, just truth. "For years," Yandy began, "we were characters. Even when we were hurting, people saw storylines, not people. Today, I want to talk about what happens after the cameras stop." Erica continued, "For me, it was confusion. When you've been told who you are for so long, you forget to ask yourself who you want to be." Then Kay, Michelle added softly, "I used to think fame meant freedom. Now I know it means nothing without peace." By the time the episode ended, there wasn't a dry eye among the production crew. Listeners called it the most human thing they'd ever done. Within hours, the podcast topped every chart again, but something even bigger followed. After hearing that episode, a well-known film director reached out with a proposal to turn their story into a feature-length biopic. It wouldn't be dramatized or sensationalized, he promised. It would be a real portrayal of 3 women reclaiming their voices in an industry built on control. At first, they hesitated. They had told their story so many times. Did it need to be told again? But the director's sincerity convinced them. This isn't just your story, he said. It's every woman's story who's ever been told to perform her pain. Filming began months later, and for once, they weren't just subjects, they were executive producers, with final say on every scene. The movie, titled Unscripted Hearts, premiered to critical acclaim. It wasn't flashy, but it was honest. It showed their lowest points without pity, and their redemption without gloss. In one haunting scene, the actress playing Yandy looked straight into the camera and said, "They edited the footage, but not my soul." Audiences erupted in applause. The film won multiple awards, not for performance, but for impact. During their acceptance speech, Yandy stood at the microphone, holding back tears. "We started as a headline," she said, "but today, we stand as proof that even the most broken narratives can be rewritten." Michelle added, "This isn't about fame anymore. It's about freedom." And Erica ended it simply, "Thank you for letting us tell the truth." Unedited, the standing ovation lasted minutes. Months after the film's release, they met again at the same restaurant where the idea for Behind the Edits was first born. No cameras, no publicists, just 3 women who had turned their pain into purpose. As they talked, a young waitress approached their table nervously. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said softly, "but I just wanted to say your story helped me leave something toxic behind. I don't want to be famous anymore. I just want to be free." They smiled at her, the kind of smile that carried understanding. "You already are," Yandy said gently. That night, they walked out together into the cool air, laughing like they used to before fame complicated everything. The streets of Atlanta hummed around them, but for the first time in years, no one chased them. No one shouted their names. No cameras followed. And maybe that was the point all along, to finally walk into peace without needing the world to notice. In a quiet moment before they parted, Michelle looked up at the night sky and whispered, "No edits, no scripts, no Erica smiled. "Just truth, always," Yandy said, her voice steady. And as they went their separate ways, their laughter fading into the night, it was clear that what they had built would outlast the noise. Not just a show, not just a movement, but a legacy of women who learned that the greatest comeback isn't fame or revenge, it's peace. As the news about Mendeecees and Yandy's finalized divorce spread like wildfire, the city seemed to hold its breath. Everyone wanted to know what really happened behind closed doors, and the silence from both sides only fueled more questions. Fans were restless, scrolling through old clips of their love story, trying to find the exact moment where everything began to fall apart. But what nobody expected was that this wasn't just a breakup, it was the unmasking of years of hidden resentment, quiet betrayal, and unspoken truths that had been building long before the cameras ever rolled. One close source revealed that after the court papers were signed, Yandy didn't leave immediately. She stood there, still, as if waiting for something. Maybe closure. Maybe a word from Mendeecees that never came. He, on the other hand, walked out first, head low, eyes hard. Witnesses said he didn't look back once. That moment, captured by a few onlookers, went viral within minutes, and social media went into overdrive. "He didn't even look at her once," one fan tweeted, while another wrote, "It's like he was done long before today." What followed next shocked even their closest friends. Instead of disappearing quietly, Mendeecees showed up that night at a private lounge in Harlem with a few friends, trying to drown the day in laughter and loud music. But the celebration didn't last long. Someone recorded him talking about how he gave everything and got nothing back, and that clip spread like wildfire. The internet tore him apart, calling him insensitive for speaking so soon after the divorce. Meanwhile, Yandy stayed silent, posting nothing but a single black heart emoji on her story, a simple, wordless expression that said everything. By the next morning, rumors began to swirl that Yandy had already packed up and left their Atlanta home. Insiders claimed she had moved into a quiet rental house nearby, away from the noise and eyes of the industry. But others said she wasn't alone. There were whispers of a new friend, someone who had been a source of comfort through her struggles. No names, no photos, just speculation, but enough to send fans into a frenzy. "If Yandy's seeing someone already, that's a plot twist," one fan commented. Another wrote, "She deserves peace, not pain." While fans were busy debating online, a storm was brewing offline. Mendeecees' family wasn't taking the news lightly. His mother reportedly felt betrayed by the way things unfolded. She claimed that Yandy had promised to hold the family together, no matter what. In one leaked message, she allegedly wrote, "She turned her back when things got hard. I never thought I'd see this day." That message set off a new wave of tension, and soon enough, family members began choosing sides. Friends who once appeared together at events were suddenly quiet, deleting old photos and unfollowing accounts. One mutual friend said, "It's like everyone's walking on eggshells. You can't mention one without offending the other." And the tension only grew worse when, out of nowhere, a video surfaced showing Yandy at a private dinner with a well-known industry figure. No context, no captions, just them laughing together over dinner. Within hours, the internet exploded with theories. Is this her new man? Was this going on before the split? Comments poured in faster than anyone could keep up. When reporters caught up with Mendeecees days later, his response was brief but loaded. "I'm not here to talk about nobody else's choices," he said, his tone sharp. "I know what I gave, I know what I lost. That's enough." The clip trended instantly. People dissected every facial expression, every pause, every glance. Some saw pain, others saw pride, but beneath it all, there was exhaustion, the kind that only comes from love turned war. As the days went on, more cracks began to show. Yandy finally broke her silence during a live session late one night. Her eyes were tired, but her voice was steady. "Sometimes you love somebody so much, you forget to love yourself," she said, "and when you finally remember, it hurts like hell." Fans flooded the comments with support, calling her brave and strong, but others accused her of playing the victim. "She's acting like she didn't have her part in this." One user wrote. The emotional back and forth spilled into interviews, cryptic posts, and public reactions. Both sides were hurting, but neither seemed willing to back down. Then came the biggest shock of all. A leak. Someone close to the couple allegedly released voice notes of a heated argument that had taken place months before the divorce. In the recording, Mendeecees could be heard saying, "You don't listen to me anymore. It's like I don't exist." Yandy replied, "Because you stopped showing up. Emotionally, mentally, you were gone long before you left physically." That leak turned everything upside down. Fans who once sided with Mendeecees began to rethink their stance. "So he checked out first." One comment read, "She was just surviving at that point." But others said, "They were both tired, both broken." The narrative shifted daily, and the media fed off the chaos, each outlet painting a different version of the truth. Even their friends started to crack under pressure. One of Yandy's longtime friends went live, saying, "What y'all see online is just the surface. There's way more to this story than people realize." When asked to elaborate, she refused. "It's not my story to tell," she said, and ended the live abruptly, leaving viewers desperate for more. Then, in a move nobody saw coming, Mendeecees deleted every photo of Yandy from his social media. Every memory, every anniversary post, gone. That act alone spoke louder than any statement. "He's done," one comment read. Others called it immature, saying, "Real men don't erase their history." Still, it was clear that whatever remained between them had reached its final breaking point. As the weeks passed, both began to rebuild in silence. Yandy focused on her projects, throwing herself into work and charity events. Mendeecees, on the other hand, started a podcast, speaking about healing after loss and finding purpose again. Though he never mentioned Yandy by name, the message was clear. Each episode carried an undertone of heartbreak, regret, and a desire to move forward. But just when fans thought the drama had cooled down, another spark ignited a joint appearance. The two were spotted at an event for mutual friends, and though they didn't arrive together, they were photographed in the same room. The tension was thick. Reports say they avoided each other all night, exchanging only a brief nod. Yet even that moment set the internet ablaze. People began hoping for reconciliation again, wondering if the story was truly over or if this was just another chapter in their complicated love saga. Behind the smiles and public appearances, both were struggling to redefine themselves outside the label of reality's favorite couple. Yandy reportedly told a friend, "I don't even know who I am without that title." Mendeecees, too, confessed in one of his podcast episodes, "When the cameras stop, you realize love isn't a storyline, it's survival." And though the papers said it was over, the story didn't feel finished. Every post, every quote, every public glance carried the weight of unfinished emotion. Because in truth, some endings don't end cleanly, they just fade. Slowly, painfully, like the echo of a love that once felt unbreakable. But just when everyone began to believe that the dust had finally settled, the internet was hit with another explosion of chaos. A late-night clip surfaced, showing Mendeecees leaving a restaurant in Atlanta with a mystery woman. Paparazzi cameras flashed as he tried to shield her face, but it was too late. Within hours, social media was flooded with screenshots, slowed down footage, and every possible angle. "That's not Yandy," one user commented. "He moved on already." Another wrote, "By morning, the hashtag Mendeecees new love was trending, and fans were divided once again." While some defended him, saying he had the right to move on, others called him heartless. "How do you go from signing divorce papers to date night in less than a month?" One comment read. The backlash grew, and soon enough, blogs began digging into who the mystery woman might be. Rumors claimed she was a fashion consultant who had worked with Yandy in the past. That single detail sent fans spiraling into disbelief. "This is betrayal on another level," someone tweeted. "Dating your ex-wife's old associate? Cold." Meanwhile, Yandy's silence grew louder. She didn't post a word for 3 days, and the entire internet watched her every move. Finally, she appeared in a live video, sitting in her living room, visibly tired but composed. Her words were calm, deliberate, and piercing. "I'm not here to compete for peace," she said softly. "I gave years of my life to something that stopped giving back long ago. If someone wants what's left of that, they can have it." Fans flooded the comments, calling her a queen, a survivor, a woman of strength. But deep down, even her strongest supporters could sense the pain hiding behind her poise. As that live went viral, Mendeecees seemed unfazed. He posted a cryptic story, just a simple line, "Don't mistake silence for guilt." That sentence alone reignited the fire. Blogs and entertainment pages twisted it in every direction. Was he implying that Yandy was lying? Was he defending himself against unseen accusations? Speculation grew wilder by the hour, and within days, the story had grown far beyond control. Friends close to both sides began speaking out, anonymously at first. One insider claimed that this relationship was already over long before people realized. Another source said, there was no single incident, it was years of distance, resentment, and the pressure of always performing for the public. But then came the revelation that flipped everything upside down. Someone leaked text messages allegedly exchanged between Mendeecees and another woman while he was still married. The messages weren't explicit, but they hinted at emotional intimacy, late-night talks, shared frustrations, words that shouldn't have been said. "You're the only one who gets me," one message from him read. "Wish things were different." Within minutes of their release, fans lost their minds. "So this is why she left," one comment said. Others rushed to defend him, suggesting the texts were fake. His camp denied everything, calling it a calculated smear. But the damage was done. The trust that once existed in the public eye had completely shattered. Yandy never confirmed or denied the messages, but her actions spoke volumes. She started showing up to public events again, dressed immaculately, smiling more, walking with her head high. One reporter described her as a woman reborn. In a brief interview, she said, "I learned that peace is louder than revenge." That line trended for days, quoted, reposted, and even printed on shirts by fans who saw her as a symbol of resilience. Meanwhile, Mendeecees faced backlash from all corners. Sponsors quietly began pulling out of projects, and his podcast numbers dropped after fans accused him of profiting from pain. Still, he stood firm, releasing an episode titled, "The Truth They Don't Want You to Hear." In it, he spoke for almost an hour, reflecting on his mistakes but never naming names. "Sometimes two people grow apart while pretending they're still in sync," he said. "That's the kind of silence that kills a relationship." His tone was raw, unfiltered, almost remorseful, and though some fans softened toward him, others accused him of playing victim. But the real shock came when, during that same episode, he hinted that not all love stories end permanently. "People change, people heal," he said. "Sometimes endings are just pauses." That single phrase sparked another wave of confusion. Was he suggesting reconciliation? Was he leaving the door open for Yandy? The internet buzzed with theories, each more elaborate than the last. Even former castmates began weighing in, with one saying, "Knowing those two, this might not be over." In the weeks that followed, their paths continued to cross in strange, unexpected ways. Both were invited to a major industry event honoring Black entrepreneurs. And though they arrived separately, they ended up seated just 2 tables apart. Witnesses described the tension as palpable. At one point, cameras caught Yandy glancing in his direction, her face unreadable. He looked back, gave a faint nod, then turned away. It was a small gesture, but it spoke louder than any public statement. After that event, fans began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there was still unfinished business between them. But then something even more startling happened. A clip from behind the scenes leaked Yandy and Mendeecees standing together backstage, sharing what looked like an emotional conversation. No sound, just gestures and body language. She appeared to wipe away a tear, and he gently placed a hand on her shoulder before walking away. The internet erupted. Are they talking again? Is there still love there? This story isn't over. The moment was powerful enough to spark a new wave of emotion among fans who had followed their journey for years. For many, Yandy and Mendeecees represented hope that love could survive even the harshest tests. And though that hope had been crushed, seeing them together again, even briefly, reignited something. But not everyone was thrilled. Insiders said the interaction caused tension behind the scenes. Some of Mendeecees' close friends reportedly warned him to let the past stay in the past, while a few of Yandy's team members believed it was too soon to engage. One assistant was overheard saying, "She's healing," but seeing him again reopened everything. And indeed, not long after that, Yandy posted a message that felt painfully direct. Healing doesn't mean reconnecting. It means understanding why you had to let go. That post closed the chapter for a while. Mendeecees stayed quiet again, his page almost empty except for a few cryptic posts about growth, lessons, and acceptance. Yandy, on the other hand, seemed to thrive. She launched a new project focused on empowering women to rebuild after heartbreak, and it became an instant success. Fans rallied behind her, turning her pain into purpose, her silence into strength, but still, the air around them buzzed with unfinished tension. Every time their names appeared in the same sentence, the world stopped to listen. It wasn't just a divorce, anymore it was a saga, a reminder that even when love ends, its shadow lingers. And as one insider put it best, they might be divorced on paper, but emotionally, there's still a war being fought quietly between their hearts. Weeks turned into months, yet the world refused to let the story die. It had become more than a breakup, it was a spectacle. A slow unraveling that everyone felt invested in. Bloggers, podcasters, and fans dissected every move, every word, every glance. It seemed like no matter what Yandy or Mendeecees did, it was interpreted as a message to the other. Then, out of nowhere, Yandy dropped a bombshell, a tell-all interview. The teaser alone sent shockwaves through the internet. In it, she said, "People think they know what happened between us. They don't." Those 8 words were enough to set social media on fire. Everyone marked their calendars for the premiere. When it finally aired, the view count climbed past 1 million in just a few hours. The interview opened with her sitting on a cream-colored couch, sunlight streaming through tall windows. She looked calm, almost fragile, but her voice was strong. When you love fragile, but her voice was strong. When you love someone publicly, your pain becomes public too, she began. And I carried a lot of that pain quietly. She talked about the early days, the laughter, the promises, and the slow erosion of trust. It wasn't one big betrayal, she said. It was small things. Over time, forgetting birthdays, ignoring calls, showing up for everyone but me. The most jaw-dropping moment came halfway through, when she revealed that therapy had been a turning point. The therapist asked me, "What would happen if you stopped trying to fix him?" And I couldn't answer, because my entire identity had become about keeping him okay. She paused, eyes glistening, and in the process, I stopped being okay myself. Fans were moved to tears. Comments poured in by the thousands, messages of empathy, solidarity, heartbreak. But while Yandy's story painted her as a survivor of emotional neglect, Mendeecees saw it differently. Hours later, he posted a video titled, "My Side." Sitting alone in his car, he spoke directly into the camera. "I'm not here to attack nobody," he said, "but I won't let people rewrite history." He claimed that while he wasn't perfect, he had always been loyal. "I showed up when it mattered. I made sacrifices people don't even know about." But what happens when love turns into performance? When you start competing over who hurts more? His tone was low, heavy. He admitted that the relationship had drained him too. "We stopped being partners and started being opponents. That's when I knew it was over." The internet divided instantly. Half the audience stood with Yandy, calling her brave and truthful. The other half defended Mendeecees, praising his honesty and emotional transparency. It became an online war, complete with hashtags, debates, and even mock Team Yandy versus Team Mendeecees merchandise. But then came the twist nobody expected. Days after those back-to-back statements, leaked photos appeared showing both of them in the same city, Miami. Fans noticed they were staying at hotels just blocks apart. The rumors exploded. Are they meeting? Is this a coincidence? The speculation reached its peak when someone claimed to have seen them together on a quiet beach, late at night. No photos, no proof, just whispers. But in the age of viral gossip, whispers are enough to start a fire. By the next morning, entertainment sites ran wild headlines. Yandy and Mendeecees spotted reconnecting in Miami. Love rekindled or unfinished business. The frenzy was unstoppable, neither of them addressed it. But Mendeecees posted a cryptic photo of a beach sunset with the caption, "Sometimes peace comes full circle." Fans lost their minds. Is he talking about Yandy? They're definitely back in touch. But whatever happened in Miami, it didn't end with peace. Days later, Yandy posted a long message that felt like a silent storm. "Closure isn't about meeting up one last time," she wrote. "It's about realizing the person you loved no longer fits the life you're building." Those words cut deep, and fans understood immediately whatever had happened. It hadn't gone well. Rumors swirled that they had met for one final conversation that turned emotional and messy. One source described it as tears, raised voices, and old wounds resurfacing. The conversation reportedly ended with Yandy walking away first, saying, "I wish you healing, but I can't be part of your process anymore." Mendeecees, the source said, stood there silently, watching her go. That alleged final encounter became the stuff of legend. Fans wrote threads, theories, even fanfiction about what really went down that night. Every outlet wanted the exclusive, but neither side spoke again. For the first time since the split, there was only silence. Still, the story had one more twist to give. Months later, both appeared separately on two major talk shows coincidentally, within days of each other. Yandy's appearance was powerful. She talked about rebuilding her confidence, starting new ventures, and finding purpose beyond pain. "Love doesn't end when people separate," she said. "It transforms. Sometimes, it teaches you who you really are." Mendeecees' interview, however, struck a different chord. When asked if he still loved her, he hesitated, smiled faintly, and said, "Love like that doesn't disappear. But some stories aren't meant to be rewritten." That clip went viral instantly. Fans flooded comment sections with crying emojis, broken hearts, and one shared sentiment: they still love each other. Their connection, even after divorce, became a strange kind of symbol of passion, heartbreak, endurance. Other reality stars began referencing them, calling their journey the cautionary tale of love in the spotlight. Yet, no matter how much time passed, their names always seemed tied together. Behind the scenes, both had moved on professionally. Yandy's empowerment brand flourished, and she began touring universities to speak about self-worth and resilience. Mendeecees continued his podcast, this time focusing more on family, forgiveness, and self-reflection. His tone had softened, his words carried weight. In one memorable episode, he said, "When you lose someone you thought you'd grow old with, you either stay bitter or you grow up. I chose to grow." But in the quiet moments between all the noise, both seemed to carry something unresolved. It was in their eyes during interviews, in the pauses between words, in the way their stories still overlapped despite every effort to move on. Because the truth was, no amount of healing could erase the love that once defined them, and no amount of distance could rewrite the years they shared under the bright, relentless light of fame. And even though the world had seen their downfall unfold in real time, somewhere deep inside, fans kept holding on to the possibility, however faint, that maybe, one day, two hearts that had broken so publicly could still find a private peace. As the curtain finally closes on the long, tangled love story of Mendeecees and Yandy, one thing is clear: this wasn't just a breakup, it was the end of an era. A decade of cameras, confessions, and chaos has come to rest, leaving behind two people who once defined what it meant to fight for love in the public eye. Their journey began with passion and promise, and it ended with silence and reflection. Yet, in that silence, fans found themselves holding on to memories of laughter, loyalty, and the fragile hope that love, no matter how scarred, could still survive. For years, they were the heartbeat of reality television, the couple that fans rooted for even when everything fell apart. We watched their highs, their heartbreaks, their reconciliations, and their breakdowns, believing in the fairy tale they built before our eyes. But this time, there were no cameras waiting to capture a reunion, no staged apologies, no producers urging one more take. This ending was real, raw, final, and that's what makes it hurt the most. People often forget that behind the headlines and hashtags are two human beings who once loved each other deeply. Love doesn't vanish when a signature dries on a divorce paper. It lingers in the familiar scent of an old sweatshirt, in the echo of laughter from another room, in the way a name still catches in your throat when you hear it out loud. Mendeecees and Yandy may have gone their separate ways, but the weight of their shared past will always be there, tucked into every lesson, every scar, every song that reminds them of who they once were. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all. Not every love story gets a happy ending. Some just end, and that's okay. Sometimes love isn't about forever. It's about the chapters you share, the storms you survive, and the strength you find when it's over. Fans, too, are left in their own emotional storm. Thousands of people who grew up watching their relationship unfold are now realizing that even the strongest bonds can fracture. But within that realization lies a powerful message. Healing doesn't come from holding on, it comes from letting go with grace. And that's exactly what both of them are trying to do. As you reflect on everything that's unfolded, take a moment to think about what this story really represents. It's not just about celebrity drama, betrayal, or heartbreak. It's about growth. It's about understanding that love requires more than grand gestures. It requires presence, honesty, and emotional safety. And when those things disappear, even the most beautiful story can turn into a battlefield. Maybe you've been in a situation like theirs, fighting to hold on to something that's already slipping away. Maybe you've known the ache of realizing that love isn't enough to keep two people together. If so, you understand the kind of pain that doesn't make headlines but stays in your heart long after the world stops watching. So here's the question. What do you believe happened between them? Was it pride that tore them apart? Or was it the simple truth that love sometimes fades, no matter how hard we fight to keep it alive? Was their story destined to end this way? Or do you think time might still bring them back together? We want to hear from you. Scroll down right now and share your thoughts in the comments, because your opinion matters. Do you think Mendeecees and Yandy made the right decision? Or was there still hope for reconciliation? And more importantly, what lesson do you take from their story? Is it that love needs space to grow? Or that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away? And if this story moved you, if it reminded you of a moment in your own life when you had to choose between peace and pain, don't forget to hit that like button. It tells us that you connected, that you felt something real. And make sure to subscribe to this channel, because stories like this aren't just gossip, they're reflections of the human heart. Messy and flawed, but always worth understanding. In the end, maybe that's what this whole journey was about. Not about blame or betrayal, but about rediscovery. About learning who you are when love no longer defines you. Because even after the tears, the anger, and the silence, there's always something waiting on the other side of heartbreak, peace, and sometimes, forgiveness. As we close this chapter, we leave you with one final thought. Love doesn't fail when two people part ways. It fails when they stop growing, when they stop listening, when they stop trying to understand each other. Mendeecees and Yandy may never find their way back to the love they once had, but maybe that's okay. Maybe their purpose was to show the world that even broken stories can teach us how to heal. So to everyone watching, remember this: every ending carries a beginning within it. Every heartbreak hides a seed of strength. And every goodbye, no matter how painful, brings you closer to the version of yourself that's brave enough to love again. Thank you for watching, for feeling, for staying through every twist of this story. Your presence here means more than you know. If you've been following their journey from day one, drop a heart emoji in the comments to show your support. And if you're new to our channel, welcome, because here, we don't just talk about celebrity headlines. We explore the emotions that make them human. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the most shocking, emotional, and unforgettable moments in entertainment. Because when the lights fade, when the fame settles, and when love turns quiet, there's always another story waiting to be told. Until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and remember, love is never wasted, even when it ends.